Wow, you guys look amazing. Just gotta say that. All tweeting at your computers. We're #4 global trending worldwide. MozCon hashtag. It's #4 trending. That's amazing, people. Keep it up. Woo. So I'm really glad that Cyrus mentioned the fact that I speak Yoruba, because Yoruba people from the southwestern part of Nigeria are amazing at personalization, in fact. They have greetings for all different times of day, context, and things like this. So I want to start off by just greeting you all in Yoruba with the greeting for sitting down, which is ekujoko. So you would all say, oh, that you heard me. So should we try it? Can I greet you and then you all say that back to me? That would be the best thing ever. Okay, ekujoko. Oh, yes, that's amazing. Okay, awesome. So I'm really excited to talk about personalization today because it's something that we all experience online. Whether it's ads for something that we've clicked on in the past, haunting us around the internet as we click around and do our browsing, or websites like Amazon and Netflix that are doing a really masterful job of personalizing the experience for each and every one of us. What I see on Amazon is different than from what you see on Amazon, and so on and so forth. But most of us don't have the army of Amazon engineers behind our websites and behind our marketing. So how can we, as marketers and our amazing selves, do personalization that actually works? And I was actually really nervous to pitch this topic because personalization is a really big word. I mean, it's 15 letters and 6 syllables. I was like, geez, that's just gonna be a lot of hard language in my mouth coming out. So I'm today going to talk about how you can all use personalization to work at your business. And I wanna start by giving a story of a time that personalization worked really well on me. So it's 2015, the month of February, and 2 of my roommates, Kate and Jared, told us that they're moving out of our San Francisco apartment and across the bay into Oakland, which for context is the city that most people move to from San Francisco when they want to get really serious and start doing things like pickling or having a chicken coop in their backyard. So I'm really sad to lose Jared and Kate, 2 beloved roommates, but I'm really stoked because it means that I get to move upstairs to the attic bedroom of our apartment with this view. I'm like, yes, I get the whole view of the city. This is amazing. How fast can you move out? The only problem is that I have no furniture. I am moving out of a very tiny bedroom in the apartment and I need to find some stuff to live with. So I'm on the hunt and I go to CB2, one of my most favorite furniture stores. That is the little sister of Crate & Barrel. And I find this, the Peekaboo Media Console. I love it. I can picture my television and my stereo just floating so effortlessly on top of this thing. So I browse around, I'm like really into it, I'm looking at it, and then I'm just kind of dismayed though because it's $400. That thing is a lot of money. And I'm not ready to purchase. So on the first visit, I browse and I bounce. The next day, I get an email from CB2, or maybe like 2 days later, I get an email from CB2 that really struck me because it said this, 15% off all acrylics. Now this table that I just showed you is an acrylic table. So I was like, oh, I want to buy an acrylic table. Let me go back to the website and like browse around more. So I go back, I'm pleased to see that it's heavily discounted, but I'm still just not ready to own this thing. I'm still not ready to purchase. I need to go look at Craigslist and other things to see if I can find it for cheaper. So I do that. And then the next day, I get another email from CB2. And this one was like tickled me. It was just amazing. Still deciding? Like, yes, I'm still deciding. Oh my God. I don't know if I need this or not. Wow. You just spoke right to my heart. You just pulled my heartstrings. So I go back to the website and I decide that this is the right time. I'm ready. I just haven't found anything on Craigslist, so I'm gonna purchase. And I'm very happy to say that the Peekaboo Media Console is still pleasing me to this day. Here it is, my bedroom. That lamp, also CB2, by the way. So this is an amazing example of personalization at work. A company is using what they know about me to deliver relevant content that will hopefully make me convert. So CB2 knows that I'm interested in these acrylic tables, so they send me relevant emails and ask me if I'm still deciding to get me to purchase. And I converted, hooray. Today, email is a really powerful channel for personalization. Same with retargeting, which we've heard a little bit about from Dwayne earlier. We've all probably experienced emails that are more relevant to you or retargeted ads, and this is because it works. These things are proven tactics to get people to do what you want them to do on your websites for your business. But there's a really huge opportunity to add another channel to your personalization strategy that many people are ignoring today. And that channel is your website. People are browsing your website all over the place. They're on their desktop phones, or their desktop, they're on their mobile phones, and your website is this really massive asset that you have that's going underutilized when it comes to personalization. We're spending a ton of money, a ton of effort on AdWords, on relevant email campaigns to send people to, but we're sending all this money and effort to a generic version of our websites. The same visitor gets the same experience no matter what they came in on or how you acquired them. Well, I want to say that that is not cutting it anymore. The one-size-fits-all web is dead. And I would go so far as to say that it's also lazy. Because we have so much information about our visitors, like who they are, where they came from, how we acquired them, their past behavior, for example. We can use all of these tidbits of information to make the web more personal for them. And we're already used to it. I mean, think about just how we exude ourselves in person in real life. If I walk into a store, I might be treated, like searching for shoes, I might be treated differently than a man who walks into the store searching for shoes. We give signals of who we are every single day. It's time that the web kept up with us. So today, I want to give a framework for how we can start thinking about personalization at all of our own businesses. And so hopefully, we can go back to our offices and start doing online personalization that actually works. So the framework has 3 ingredients. The first one is the who. Who are you targeting? How are you slicing and dicing all the different visitors coming to your site into unique segments and personalizing content based on those segments? That is the what. The what are you showing the who? And then the third one is how. How are you prioritizing all of these millions of ideas that you have to personalize? Because we all know that there's no limit of the ideas we can have, but which ones are actually going to get shipped or built and shipped, that's another story. So this framework starts with the who. And there's 3 major ways that I've seen in my work at Optimizely that I've seen people think about how they're slicing their audiences. And that is based on context or the status of the visitor. So are they logged in or are they logged out? Are they coming from an AdWords campaign or are they coming from organic search? Then things like demographic qualities. These are things that you innately know to be true about a visitor. Whether the visitor is a male or a female, whether they are located in Seattle or San Francisco. And then there's behavior, the things that a visitor has done on your website. And this is a little bit more complicated because there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of figure out who's done what, for example, but we'll get into it. So I want to give, to highlight each of these attributes, I want to give some examples of businesses that have been doing personalization and slicing their audiences in these 3 ways. And I'll start with an example of a website called Secret Escapes. Now, Secret Escapes is a travel deals website based in the UK, and they are spending a ton of money on AdWords. They're bidding on keywords like luxury travel, spa breaks, because spa breaks is a thing that you say in the UK, I guess, for like spa vacations or spa holidays, something. And they're sending all of that traffic to this landing page. Now this landing page looks pretty good. I think it's like it was converting decently for them, but they wanted to find out how they could decrease the spend on AdWords. And they came up with a number of hypotheses for this. So they decided to try personalizing their landing pages based on the keyword that a visitor was coming in from. So here is the generic version of the page. Every single visitor who comes there, no matter from what AdWord it is that they clicked on, sees this version of the landing page. Now here's the personalized version they tried for the keyword spa breaks. So they decided to change the messaging and the image to put people in the mood, to put them in that spa luxury environment. So they, in other words, personalized the content of the landing page based on the keyword that brought them there. We call this symmetric messaging. It's really powerful. And again, it's very powerful because this worked extremely well for them. They saw a 32% increase in conversions on traffic from this AdWords keyword just by making the messaging on the ad symmetric to the messaging on the landing page. Now, this isn't just a lot of new leads for Secret Escapes. This is a potentially money savings for their AdWords account because the bounce rate on this page is going down, so the quality score could be going up. So I really recommend that you guys all go out and try this on any of your AdWords landing pages because I've seen it work time and time again. So this is Secret Escapes using context or the status of the visitor and how the visitor came to their site to personalize. Okay, the next example is another example of context, and this comes from AdRoll. AdRoll is a B2B website that offers a retargeting service, and they are personalizing here on their homepage based on the status that a visitor is in, whether they're pre-sale or post-sale. They're doing a really simple change here. For the pre-sale experience, they're giving people a phone number to call. That if they have questions or want to talk to a sales human on the other end of that line, they're giving them the pre-sale. But for post-sale, they're giving people a link to the support center. So maybe people don't want to talk to someone, they're already sold, they have questions. So a really simple way to personalize the content of your site based on the context that a visitor or the status that a visitor is in. Another one from AdRoll is more getting into the demographic of a visitor. So here they are targeting the site to enterprise and SMB audiences by changing the header CTA. For enterprise, they want to get people on the phone. They have a whole fleet of sales humans. They want people talking to them. So request a demo and get in touch with us. But they also have a free trial that you can just try it out real quick and easy. So for them, they think that this demographic of enterprise versus SMB audience is going to improve and be more personal and relevant to their audiences. So that's a great example of demographic. Now I want to give you an example of behavior. And this one comes from an e-commerce company called The Climb. They are based in Portland, Oregon, and they sell outdoor gear and fun things that you can go backpacking and stuff with. So these are a group of really savvy retailers. They know that they want to show the right products to the right people who will actually buy them. Those are the right people who actually buy these products. So they've looked through their data and they found that the leading indicator as to whether or not someone will buy their product is whether or not they bought something in the past. So if someone's bought in the past and they want to try to get the best products in front of those people to maybe buy them again, or just to buy them. So they created a different experience for the past purchasers segment of their visitor base. And they decided to show them Oakley products because Oakley has a really high margin. They sell really well, and people, what they pay for them is a lot less than what they can sell them for. So they decided to try targeting past purchasers with Oakley products. And this went pretty well for them. They saw a 10% increase in conversions on checkouts of Oakley products for the segment of past purchasers. So this isn't like a whopping crazy 90% or some really amazing number, but 10% on one segment is really significant, because if you can unlock all these different incremental gains across many different segments of your audience, then it becomes a sea change and a ton of success and a ton of revenue. So those are the 3 ways that I've seen and that commonly people are segmenting their different audiences and on what to show and who they're showing different personalized experiences for, based on context, based on demographics, and based on behavior. So I hope that you're thinking right now on, okay, how could I slice and dice my visitors? How could I use the context or the status they're in to show them a really great experience based on a little bit what I know about them? We saw one great one today from Matthew, where he showed the who's in code, or what is code, that they personalize the experience for returning visitors, and gave them a little bit of data, like, you're almost there, you're X amount of 1,000 words through. That's a really great example of using context to personalize. So as you're thinking about this, remember that you have existing audiences right under your nose. You probably have natural lists already of the way you're thinking about your visitors, and you can start personalizing experiences for them. So let's say you do NPS score, for example. Well, you probably have promoters and hopefully not many detractors. You could be personalizing the site for each one of them, or logged in versus logged out, or subscriber versus non-subscriber. There's no one-size-fits-all way to do this, because personalization is personal. So you just gotta try it, see what you have on your own site, and then start personalizing for, understand your audience, and the best person to do that is you. Okay, so that's the who, one pillar of our framework for personalization. Next, I wanna talk about the what. What are you showing each of these different audiences? And this is the content that's fueling your personalization campaign. So what I want to say about the what is that this is really a hypothesis. There's not one thing that's always going to be amazing for return visitors, or one thing that's always going to be amazing for new visitors. It's a hypothesis. This is a great time to flex your A/B testing hypothesis muscles, which I'm sure you're all developing at a rapid rate. Flex these hypothesis generation muscles and start thinking of, well, how can I move the needle for this segment? What would be good for them? So hopefully a lot of you are A/B testing in the audience already. Can I get a show of hands to see who's A/B testing today? Amazing, yes. Okay, that's so great. So if you're already thinking about how you can improve the experience for all of your traffic, then you can be thinking about how to improve the experience for a segment of your traffic. So to go on with the what, I want to extrapolate this problem of me searching for furniture in my apartment, because it's a really big room, people. This room is not filling itself. Still on a journey. So let's say I go to a media website. It's like a DIY website, and they have ideas for how to furnish your attic apartment, things to do. So if I am coming there and I'm a new visitor, one idea is to show me an onboarding experience with a tour of the site. Because if I'm coming in and I'm just searching for attic apartments, well, I might want to know that you also have content for the kitchen remodeling or for my living room. So if I'm a new visitor, maybe giving me an experience of a tour of everything that you offer would be a really great way to get me to return and keep sharing the great information you have with my friends. But if I'm a return visitor, maybe give me an email sign-up newsletter call to action. I've already expressed interest in you, you're valuable to me, I'm coming back to you, so capture that value and give me more reason to come back. So 2 quick ways you could personalize for new visitors or return visitors if you are a media site. Some examples here. Let's say you're a retail site, and I am the visitor, I'm coming to you to shop for couches. And you know, as the retail site, that I, the shopper, am located in San Francisco. Well, I have a hypothesis that you might sell me more furniture if you give me local in-store pickup options. Because furniture shipping is really expensive, and it takes a while. And if I have the opportunity to drive my car over to you, then maybe I'll be more likely to check out. One example, one hypothesis. We don't know, we have to test it. What if I haven't visited the site in 90 days? Maybe give me a promotional offer for a limited time discount to give me a little bit of incentive to get back and to be purchasing. I've seen these things work. They're great hypotheses, but you take this to your team. Go explore what you could possibly show these people, because there's so many things under the sun to show them. But a word to the wise as you're thinking about this is don't be creepy. So creepy is super arbitrary, because what's creepy to me may not be creepy to you. I was not at all creeped out by CB2 when they said still deciding, but I could have been very creeped out if they were like still deciding on the acrylic table that you viewed twice and haven't purchased. So, be thoughtful with the way that you execute these personalization campaigns. Dana said it really well earlier when she said that great marketing feels right. So if it feels right to you and your business, and you're really thinking about your company values, then creepiness won't even be an issue. Just don't be as creepy as this van that says Hogwarts Express on it. I mean, like, what? This is amazing. This really exists. Found it on the internet. It must be true. So when you're thinking about your personalization levels, just keep it like down here, not up here. If this is Hogwarts creeper van, just keep it down here. Okay, then you'll be golden. So that was the what, the second stop in our framework personalization journey. So now I want to talk about, and when you're thinking about what, remember that it's a hypothesis. That if you can do A/B testing, you're already doing all this hypothesis and like ideas for A/B testing, then personalization will come really naturally, because it's just thinking about what's going to work best for a different segment of your audience. Okay, now I want to talk about the how. And once you have all these ideas out, you've got like your Google Doc or your Trello board or your Jira queue of all these different ideas, now it's time to think about how to build and ship them, which ones get built and shipped. And I've talked to a lot of businesses about this. I do case studies at Optimizely, so I've talked to a lot of companies about how they think about prioritization, and it comes down to three things. One, the potential business impact that this personalization effort can have. Two, the technical effort to execute this personalization campaign. And three, the requirements to sustain it. So when you're thinking about personalization, or prioritization, it's too similar. When you're thinking about prioritization, you could be really strict and have a point system, like 1 point for each business criteria that this personalization thing meets. Or you could be really loose and go out for beers and just talk with your coworkers about what's gonna work, what's not gonna work, and just be really loose with it. I've seen both work. It's all up to you and how you wanna frame it. But I do have some takeaways and some actionable advice for when you're thinking about prioritization. And the first one is take big bites for big impact. By big bites, I mean starting to segment for audiences that either represent a lot of traffic or a lot of value. Because at first, you don't want to start personalizing for all the possible little niche segments that have like 1,000 or 100 visitors in them, because you're not going to get really actionable results from that personalization. So instead, think about audiences, think about who makes up most of your traffic. Go to your Google Analytics. This is all visible right there. Your top level insights about who's coming to your website. Maybe you can slice it based on new versus returning visitors, or people from a desktop site or a mobile site. Don't get too aggressive with really segmenting for one-to-one personalization. The Amazon level, you could get there eventually, but start small. Start with small amount of personalizations that have a really big value, big impact. So there's the big traffic component to this, but there's also the kind of traffic that has a lot of value. So think about the traffic that you're spending the most amount of money to acquire. And you better be personalizing for them, because if you're paying for them to come to your site, then you better be converting them into value for your business. So this is what Secret Escapes was doing from that example earlier. They were taking their AdWords traffic and hypothesizing ways to turn more of that traffic into leads and value into leads that they could sell vacations to. So when you're thinking about how to find the potential business impact, take big bites, not little nibbles. The second pro tip on here is be realistic about the technical effort it's going to take you to actually execute this personalization campaign. Do you have the resources to identify this audience? Do you know what the dependencies are? How are you going to execute it? Now, there's a lot of software out there that can help you do this, but if you don't have the software, then think about, do you have the analyst resources or any developer resources that you might need to identify or give a cookie to a visitor to identify them as logged in versus logged out? And within a given time period, I suggest diversifying the amount of complexity that you're taking on with personalization. So in one quarter, let's say, you want to do 3 personalized campaigns. So one might be really high complexity and another 2 may be really low complexity and really high value. So diversify a bit and see where it falls and see what feels good and natural to you. So be realistic about the technical effort it will take you to execute this thing. Next, don't slice your audiences too thin. Slicing your audiences into a ton of different segments is going to create a content problem. Because once you have all these different types of segments of visitors and all these hypotheses of what to show them, then you'd actually need to show them something different. So if you're slicing your audiences too thin, then you might not have the content resources available, or you might be spending too much time on unique content for each of those audiences. And another point on this is that you should give your audiences the chance to surprise you. So let's go back to that climb example. If the climb is only showing their past purchasers things like Oakley beanies and sunglasses, then those visitors might forget that they actually have backpacks and tents and all these other types of gear too. So don't slice your audiences too thin to avoid content problems and pigeonholing of your audience, of what your audience thinks about you. So that's the how to prioritize which personalizations you're going to build and ship. So I've just gone through this framework for personalization, the who to target, the what are you going to show them, and how are you going to prioritize it. So now I want to leave you with a word to the wise, a little word of wisdom, and a call to action. So this sentence is that the power of personalization is in how you wield it. There's plenty of ways that marketers can use personalization for evil, but there's plenty more ways that we can use personalization for good, to be more relevant to how we talk to our visitors, to give them the experiences that they're expecting, because all these companies like Amazon and Netflix and even Business Times, what we saw earlier, are personalizing the experiences that they deliver to their visitors. So we as marketers need to start, well, not we as marketers, but we as all these more small, medium businesses need to start thinking about how we can leverage this strategy as well to be more relevant and competitive out there in the world. So there's a couple reasons that personalization, or a couple ways you could think about personalization being really valuable, and that's if you're using personalization to deliver value to your customers, that's amazing. But if you're being personal for the sake of being personal, that's not really a good reason to personalize. So remember that the power of personalization is all in how you wield it. And now a call to action. Go forth and personalize. I think after this, you should think about 2 things. Who are you personalizing for? Think about some audiences that you can go and identify right now and start thinking about what experience would you deliver to them. Come up with a bunch of lists of hypotheses and ideas, and then try to see how you want to start getting them built. If we all work together, I think, to do this, to make the experiences that we deliver online more relevant and more delightful, then we'll have a lot to talk about. So many case studies. So once you do this, tweet at me, think about, I want to write about it, I want to learn from you, from your successes and your failures. that failure is good. This is a really new domain that people are getting into. This dirty word of personalization is just taking hold really fast. So if we can all just get our hands around it and start playing with it, then we'll be able to write the book for personalization in the future. So thank you everyone so much. Yay!
Cara, yay!
So happy.
So happy.
It's fun.
That's awesome.
Yay.
So a lot of people are listening. Like at Moz, we do some personalization. I know there's a lot of head nodding for companies that are already doing it. They're going, yeah, we need to do more of that.
Yeah.
Companies that aren't doing it, I think they're asking the question, how do I get started? What technology do I need? What platform do I need to get started on this? Because this sounds great.
Yeah.
So what recommendations do you have in that area?
Yeah. I knew I was going to get this question. It's
yeah.
a good one. And so the answer to that is that there's a lot of different tools that are starting to come up on the market really fast with personalization. I don't have a recommendation for the one that you must use because they're all very different depending on what kind of personalization or kind of who you are as a company. So I might just say that Optimizely just started, we just released our new personalization product. So you can sign up for that, but also there's a lot of things out there like rich relevance, smart content. I don't have the direct answer for which one you should be using today, but there are tools out there and that deserves its own talk basically because there's so much you could just, there's so many different tools. So we're gonna do a blog post on that on the Optimizely blog and I will make sure to tweet it out to everyone when it's done. But I guess one other thing to say is that you don't need these tools to start personalizing. There's things you can do right now just with a developer that would be helpful to start to deliver a different experience based on what you can infer about your visitor.
Okay, and maybe this is the same question. Evan Davis, and by the way, Evan Davis, you've been tweeting great questions all day, thank you. Is there a way inexpensive way to personalize for small businesses?
Let's see. Yes, there's definitely an inexpensive way to personalize for small businesses. I think everyone, no matter if you're a huge business or a really small business, can take advantage of the data you have about your visitors and personalize for them. So what I would say is think about the existing lists that you have today, and maybe you don't treat each the existing like natural ways that you're segmenting your audiences today. And you don't have to think about each one as a hypothesis. It doesn't all need to be measured immediately because you might know this is just a better thing to deliver than the norm for everyone. So I would say for small businesses to get the most bang out of their effort and time, then just don't be super focused on measuring the impact that each single personalization has.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, what about, this is from David DeMille, recommendations for customizations of service industry sites with an offline presence. Are there any data sources out there offline that we can pull into the online experience?
Yeah. So that's interesting. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know which companies can or which tools out there are really being used to do offline personalization and tailor it to online or like close that feedback loop. But I encourage you all to tweet at me or tweet to each other if you know the answer, because I think that a lot of people could benefit from that answer. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Gotta say if I don't know. If I don't know, I don't want to give you bullshit.
Okay, something we're thinking about at Moz, and this is pretty much our last question. Can you use pages, Rand asked, can you use pages visited on a blog to personalize? And have you seen any good examples of that, where people visit specific content and then it's personalized?
Oh, okay, so personalizing based on they've viewed a specific type of content?
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. That's a great example, I think, of ways people can personalize. Because let's say for me, I run Optimizely's blog. And if I know people are coming in and they only want to read about A/B testing content, or they only want to read about, let's say, media content, if it's like vertical based, that's a really powerful way to slice your audiences and deliver media content specifically to them. So one way you could do it is by having different blog feeds, like different newsletters. So if you have people who only want to read media content, then maybe you give them the option to opt into a media only newsletter, or e-commerce only, or a B2B only newsletter.
Excellent. And
Yeah.
people want to learn more about this, the Optimizely blog
Yeah,
is a great
the Optimizely blog is a great
And
place.
A/B testing, yeah.
And A/B testing. We're working on a blog post right now on the impact that personalization has on SEO. So it's a real doozy. It's a big question, and there's, like I said, this is like the cutting edge. We're not really sure out there of everyone what impact personalization will have on search rankings. But all we can say is that Google personalizes their own websites, so it must be good.
It must be good.
It must not hurt.
Cara Harshman, everybody.